Okay, our next candidate is Tom Truex, and Mr. Truex, you have time to speak and introduce yourself. After you introduce yourself, we will ask 3 questions that we have asked all the candidates, and then we will open the floor for more questions.
Good evening. As a fellow said, my name is Tom Truex. I am running for chair of BREC. First of all, I want to introduce my wife, who doesn't come to all of these functions with me, but she's here tonight, Janet. We've been married since 1984. We have 4 children who are all respectful, hard-working, self-reliant young women, all Republicans. I have my confession for this evening is I have not always been a Republican, although I've been a Republican for a long time. My family was not always Republican, and I think that's because my father was not a Republican. He was a Democrat. And the reason he was a Democrat, I believe, is because his father was a Democrat. Now, over the years, for me, it's been a long time. My whole family is Republican now, I think. And my father was the last to change over when he was in his 70s. The only one who never changed parties, I believe, was my grandfather. Can anyone guess why he never changed to Republican?
He died before he was.
Right. Democrats, I'm sorry, dead people always vote for Democrats. Okay. I am a small business owner. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I am a card-carrying member of the National Rifle Association. I have a biography online. It's on my precinct website. I've had a precinct just for my website for a number of years. You can find my biography if you want good or incriminating information. You can find it there, but it's 3t.davy.org. There's another address for it. It points to the same place, 3t, that's my precinct, 3t.browardrepublican.org. Okay, I served 8 years on a town council out in Davie. It was then, it is now, a heavily Democrat town. I was elected out there 3 times. The day before I was elected, it was 5 liberal Democrats. During the time I was there, we changed that count to 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat. I've been a BREC member for about a dozen years. Give or take. I don't think BREC has good enough records, they can contradict me on it either, but around 12 years, I think. I came on BREC about the same time as I served on that recount for George W. Bush in 2000. I know some of you were involved in that count too. I walked door to door, I helped with campaign strategy, I made phone calls, I donated money, I sent emails, I had my personal precinct website. I sent out emails. At one time, I was a officer in a local Republican club. One of the reasons that I'm running for BREC chair is I believe that the perception is locally, statewide, and nationally, the perception is that the Republican Party is on the run. The fate of the Republican Party, locally and nationally, is a deadly serious matter. It's not like whose team is better. This is literally the fate of the free world, and I take it very seriously. The Democrat Party is leading our country on a crash course to bankruptcy. It's leading us toward a surrender of our fundamental rights, such as freedom of speech, freedom to practice one's own religion, and of course the right to bear arms. On our current path, our children are going to inherit a third world USA. Now, I'm reminded of the book, The Christmas Story. It's actually the book called A Christmas Carol. And if you remember, Ebenezer Scrooge asked the ghost of Christmas yet to come. He said, are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be only? And so it is with our county and with our country. It is not yet too late to change the way that we're headed, but we're close. BREC needs to be united. That's my first and most important goal, is to unite BREC. We need to all be working in the same direction. Our opponents are the Democrats. If you remember, I know there's nobody has to tell me your age, but I know there's a lot of people that remember Ronald Reagan. His 11th commandment was, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. We need to remember that and put that into practice. I have the leadership skills to lead BREC. I served as a mayor for a number of years. I think if I didn't mention, I was on the town council for 4 years. I was mayor for 6 years. I'm used to big groups. I'm used to big issues. I'm used to big problems. I'm used to big challenges. BREC is no place for the faint of heart. I'm sometimes amused, no one in particular, but I'm amused by people in the public eye who are frightened of the media, who are frightened of criticism. In this county chairman, if you're doing your job, it is a tough job. You're going to be criticized. You're going to walk into unfair venues more often than not. That's part of the job. I'm used to dealing with the media. From being a public official, I've dealt with TV, radio, regular newspaper, and new media. Do not underestimate the importance of that part of the BREC chairman. What it should be. There are two ways you get media, here or anywhere. One is you pay for media. You can pay for publicity. The other way is you get free media. You get free publicity. That is an important part of the job. So I'm definitely in favor of abolishing these rules that limit media, that limit video recording. We should only hope that the Sun Sentinel will send somebody out to our BREC meetings with a camera and we get covered a little bit. I'm not sure how much time do I have left in the opening. I have a couple more minutes, okay. I know there's questions. I don't want to violate the rules. One of my most important goals as BREC chairman will be to get local Republicans elected and re-elected. We can make we can have all the these little sub rules, and we can increase the membership. We can do this, that, and the other. Those are means to the end. They're not building up. BREC is not the end in itself. The important thing with the county Republican Party is to elect and re-elect local Republican officials. I'll tell you, I'll name a couple of important ones. They're not all ones that I agree with all the time, but they are Republicans who we need to either elect or re-elect. Chip LaMarca, we need to make sure we keep that seat on the county commission. Jerry Fadgen was just elected. He was elected handily. We need to defend that seat. We need to provide him with as much comfort as we can. I was sorry to say, I'm going to mention his name, although he didn't win. Troy Samuels is another person who's a great resource. He's been elected in Miramar multiple times. He didn't win this election, but he's a great resource. He's somebody that we need. Anybody in this county that has been elected and re-elected is somebody that BREC needs to seek out. If they're running for re-election now or in the future, it's somebody we need to support. I believe one area that the Republican Party, both nationally and locally, needs to improve, and that's our public perception. We have allowed our party to be defined by the Democrats. My kids, I think I mentioned we have 4 kids. All of them attended public schools in Broward County, as did I. I can tell you how the parties are defined by the public school teachers. The Democrats want to help the normal average guy, and the Republicans are only in favor of the rich. We need to understand ourselves, what our party platform was about. Prior to this party platform, I know in my own local club, they had me out 2 or 3 times, and we went through the different, I had a PowerPoint. This was the 2008 platform. It needs to be updated for 2012, but I went through the national platform. We went through point by point by point the difference between the Democrat and the Republican Party. We have a far superior message. The Democrat Party, it's amazing when you think that young people came out and voted for Obama. If you are a young person, you have got to know that the Democrat Party, if we continue on their path, they are going to bankrupt this country. We're going to be a third world country before you reach the age that I am. Somebody's pointing to their watch, so I think it's time for questions.
16 trillion, I think we're already there.
We got 20 minutes left, so if you have some more points you want to talk on, just quickly expound on them.
I'll just end right there, and we can go to questions. I don't want to make anybody nervous. I'm going on.
All right, we have 4 questions. Number 1, what qualities do you have compared to the other 3 candidates that would make you the best chair of BREC?
Okay, I don't know the other 3 candidates that well. They all seem like nice folks. So let me tell you about my qualifications a little bit more. I probably said most of what I need to in my introduction, but I have been an elected local official. I've served in that capacity. I know a lot of people in this county. When I was mayor in one of my campaigns, I know it was a local city election, we raised about $125,000. For a statewide race, not much, but for a local municipal election, that's not too bad. So that's I think one thing probably. I know some of the players. Honestly, there are people in the county party that are going to step up no matter who is the chairman. So, you know, that no matter who it is, there'll be some of those. But I think I have the experience doing that. Dealing with the media, I think, is an important thing. I mentioned before, but I think that's pretty important. So.
Thank you. What plans will you put into place to make sure that we do not have a repeat of the 2012 election?
Okay, well, are you speaking locally or?
Locally, nationally, statewide.
Okay, well, one of the things I mentioned is part of it is education. We need to, right now, you know, most of our education, at least from the BREC's effort, as I see it, is in the clubs. Now, I'll tell you, when my kids were in school particularly, I got invited to the school to speak to the students. And you don't have to be the mayor to do that. So part of it is getting out into education. That's more of a long-term thing. But there's no reason that we shouldn't have a speakers bureau that's speaking not only in the public schools, but in churches and synagogues, homeowner associations. I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities when we convince each other in our clubs that we're the superior way of life, or we're sort of convincing each other we need to get out more. Yeah, a big part of it also is as a local elected official, I will tell you that a lot of what a local candidate does, particularly a first-time candidate, is figure out what they're doing and where to go and who to meet with you. There's no reason that every candidate for local office should be reinventing the wheel every time. Now, some of the things you need to know as a candidate are really applicable across the board anywhere in the county. How to build your lists and things like that, things that you're going to know if you've run a campaign. But there's other things that are specific to each city or each area that we're going to have to use the local clubs more.
How would you raise money for BREC operations and to support local candidates?
Okay, let me say first of all, I hope this doesn't rub anybody the wrong way, but I do not view raising money for BREC as to be BREC's first or most important function. And we better hope it's true because the Treasury is not in too good a shape right now. But part of it is having the connections. Part of it is knowing the people and not being afraid to ask for money. I think that Lincoln Day is something we've always done in the past. But I'll tell you the problem with like right now, I don't know what the other candidates said. To my knowledge, there's really not too much on the books as far as what we're going to do with Lincoln Day. So, you know, I managed to raise $125,000 in a municipal election, so it's hard work. I know when I was mayor, I set aside every afternoon for weeks and weeks, and you have to get the list and you have to make the call. So part of it is a big part of it is the county chairman. You have to not be afraid to get out the BREC list. The BREC list, that's another issue. I don't know if there's a question about that, but if you can get the BREC list and you can get the phone numbers, there are people, but you have to keep the pushers.
The last question. How would your board differ from past boards, and what positions would you add?
Okay, that's an excellent question. I hate to say it's an excellent question because if I don't say that, it implies some of the other questions were terrible. But here's what I believe that expanding the current board is one of the most important things that BREC needs to do, and it's in no way saying anything derogatory about what we've been doing in the past. But there's two ways that the board needs to be expanded. One is by function. We need an expanded board, somebody that has expertise, or a group that has expertise in media, particularly new media. We need people that are going to have expertise in probably a speakers bureau, people that have expertise in recruiting candidates, and people that have expertise on actually running a campaign. That's by function. The other way that it should be expanded is geographically. I would tell you, my style of leadership is to lead by consensus and lead by trying to reach agreement. So before I tell you the 10 positions I would add, I would say that I would definitely need to consult with the current board. But it definitely does need to be expanded. That's very important. And so by function and geographically, but the specifics, I'm not sure.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to go ahead and open up to the floor for questions.
I wrote my question before. I know this is a big issue that we keep talking about at the Young Republicans. I wonder how BREC's going to address it. For too long, the left has accused the Republican Party of being against minorities and other groups, even though the left very specifically puts people in boxes before they go anywhere. What would you do as BREC chair to ensure outreach to different communities in Broward County? Because we are one of the most cosmopolitan counties in the country. And what steps would you take to try to bring more people in from groups that are traditionally underrepresented in the Republican Party?
Okay, I'll say a good question. And part of it is we're not reaching out in the right places. We need to reach out in some communities. The most important place where you're going to reach a certain demographic may be a synagogue or a church. We need to go to those places. It may be a homeowners association. Part of it is setting straight the historical record. The Republican Party emancipated the slaves in this country. and ever now, that's not recent history, but if you look at the historical record, the Republican Party in practice has been much more friendly to minorities than the Democrat Party. If you look at recent the administrations of recent governors and presidents, you'll see that in practice, the Republican Party and the Republican elected officials have been much more friendly to minorities than the Democrat Party has. But specifically what we need to do now is we need to reach out in places we're not reaching out now.
Next question is going to Mr. Mark.
Hello, we're on? Hi, Tom. Mark Alon. My question dovetails with Chris's a little bit. It's about the millennial generation. And from being out there on the early voting lines every single day, they just weren't the least bit interested in listening to the Republican brand or argument or point of view or anything like that. I was wondering what your plans were to reach out, specifically not to, every demographic group in the world, but young people in general, whatever color they happen to be. And, taking advantage of the young Republicans, for instance. Are you familiar with the young Republicans and so on and so forth? Well, it's a legitimate question, right? I mean,
that's a good question.
It's right in the name.
I think that's a good question. Yeah.
So you're familiar with them, and
yeah, I've heard of the young Republicans. Let me tell you what I know about the young Republicans. When I was mayor of Davie, there were sort of two groups of Republicans. And by the way, I won't get into that, but there were two groups. The old people gave us money, and the young people came on and actually worked. And the young Republicans that helped me when I was campaigning are still all young now, but maybe a lot of them different. But
I might have been a young Republican back then. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, so I don't know what to tell you. The young Republicans, I mean, young people. A big part of it is education. A big part of it is I mean, I think you agree with me that you look like you're younger than me. I'm assuming it may be rattling around in the back of your mind that the United States of America is not going to be the same great country that it has been for 250 years when you're my age, when you have the same amount of gray hair as I do. So that's a big part, and yes.
I just dye mine.
Okay.
It's about that right now.
And it will take a conscious effort from the leadership of BREC, to welcome the current YR into the greater BREC group. But I'm not oblivious to what you're talking about. I know generally at a lot of the BREC meetings, I think I bring down the average age. So, yeah. Point well taken. It's duly noted.
Thanks, Tom.
We appreciate that. We truly do.
I shouldn't say it, but perhaps in this group too. But I don't know.
So your day will come.
You said in your speech this evening that one of your priorities is to get local candidates elected, and I believe everybody in this room would agree with that comment. You also said in 2010 when you ran that part of your central platform was to get local candidates elected. What have you done between 2010 and now to get local candidates elected? What campaigns have you worked on? Have you had fundraisers for people? I just want to get a sense of what you've done this past election cycle.
Okay, thank you. I can go back to 2010? Is that what you said?
Yeah, when you were BREC chair in 2010.
Okay. Let me give you, I will cover that directly, but let me give a little bit longer answer around it. Not avoiding it, because I'm going to get to that. But I found, before I was elected to anything, I was a regular guy. And my role then was a little different, because what I did then is besides working on my own campaign, is I did a lot of door-to-door. I did a lot of calling. We did host a couple things in our house, but it was the work of a foot soldier, which is what I did. When I was elected as mayor, my role changed because then I was a VIP, and so my role was a little different. I still went door to door. I still did those things, made calls, but I also was more visible in endorsements and fundraising and things like that. After I left public office, I was a FIP. That's a formerly important person. So you still have a little bit of the cachet, you still know the same people, but your role is not exactly the same. And that's what I've been since 2000, continuously since 2010, I've been an FIP. So I have walked door to door in a couple of elections. One of them was in North Broward, and I don't think she's here tonight, but Ms. Kennedy, and I walked door to door, and I forget the fellow's name. He was an African American who lost his election. He was a good candidate, and he lost. So I've done that a couple times. I've had my precinct blog continuously. Our former chairman encouraged us to work on your precinct. I believe that I'm safe in saying our former state committeeman also emphasized that, and that's a lot of what I did. I sent out emails. I used the I used the letter service. I don't take too much credit for that. All I did was pay for it. But I also used the phone list that was provided by BREC, and I made a lot of calls in those 2000 elections. Let me say, by the way, a lot of things I don't agree with. That chairman would be me in 2010, but that was one very good thing that he did. I also consulted. I know I can think of at least one candidate I consulted with quite a bit. She ended up not having an election, so it didn't come to pass. So I haven't been invisible. More of my work has been in precinct 3T, other than a foray here and there in the north end of the county going door to door. I have been involved in other things too. So I hope that, did I answer your question? I answered things you didn't ask, but I hope I answered what you did ask as well.
That's sufficient, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir, go ahead.
Okay.
That's what he did, he can't remember.
You're going to need that water now. So I'm the old guy. I'm ex-military, retired military, and I'm used to meetings starting on time and ending on time. And one of my favorite pet peeves for the 10 or 12 years that I've been a member of BREC is the inability of the chairman, whoever it happens to be, to control the meeting of the so-called self-important VIPs that stand in the back of the room talking when they're supposed to be sitting in their seats. Now, what would you propose to do about those folks? And also, what would you do to get rid of us old folks to get some young people like that?
All right, yeah, I don't want to get rid of the old folks. Did everybody hear the question? He was on the mic. You heard it back and back? Okay, because I'm going to ask you to repeat it. I'm just kidding. Okay, what to do? Let me say this first of all. Running a meeting, particularly a large meeting, is a skill. Okay, it is something that you get better at the more experience you have. I've run big meetings. I've run unruly meetings. I've not only political meetings. Believe it or not, there's been some charities. There's been some church meetings that were large and sometimes unruly. So that is a skill. If you've never done it, you're probably not going to be very good out of the box. So, but specifically, what do you do? Number one, again, I'll just answer the question. I'm going to make as many people mad as will be happy. I'd like to start meetings on time. I like to have an agenda. I like to advertise what time we're going to quit, and I like to quit at that time. That doesn't mean you cut people off, but you can organize things. There are polite ways to prod people along. As far as the people in back, you know, it's a tough thing. It's a tough. No, I don't stand up and back. No, I come up and sit down. Maybe once or twice, but usually I don't stand up and back. So you know, they need to be encouraged to sit down. But to some extent, you know, some of the guys in back and ladies in back, you know, I always sit middle or near the front. I can always hear, and my hearing's not that great. So, again, point well noted. It's not my top priority, but yeah, we should start on time. We should end on time, and you know, be polite. Are we on time?
Thank you. We have one more question.
Okay.
I know you've been around a while.
Can't hear. Turn it on.
I know you've been around a while. I'd like to Is it on now, folks? At any rate, Tom, I believe that our BREC would be a lot better served if we didn't have it so far north. If we had it more central, we would get more participation from all over the county instead of the heaviest participation from the north end of the county, and BREC generally omitting the south end of the county altogether, particularly the southwest county. And I think that's disgusting. Tom, what do you think you might do about that?
All right, Harris is a good friend of mine, so let me reinterpret the question a little bit. Harris is asking me, what can I do to make the people on the north end of the county mad at me? I don't know if the BREC members in here know. We are not going to be at the location we're at indefinitely. They're going to be undergoing renovations. So I am not opposed to finding, I don't know, is that a surprise to anybody? Yes. Okay, well I've been told by someone who should know that the location where we are is going to be going under renovations, and either by choice or not really by choice, we may be moving sometime in this calendar year. So I am not opposed to you know, looking. I prefer not to look further north, but other locations would be fine by me, and I would prefer if someone else would make the choice, because I'll drive anywhere. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's not going to be, this location here is not the most convenient in the world for me, but I will go and meet with Republicans where we are. Okay. Thank you very much.
No, we have one more question.
We got a question.
There's been many comments this evening about voter outreach and voter education.
This is the last question, by the way.
And for those people that don't know, the Tea Party Fort Lauderdale meets every single week of the year for the last 4 years doing this voter education and voter outreach. And I'm asking, to what extent can you take advantage of the Tea Party here in Broward County?
Okay. Let me tell you what I know about the Tea Party. Let me see if I can sum it up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a long-term Tea Party member, so I'm not pretending that. But here's what I do know about the Tea Party. The Tea Party believes in the rights that we have as given by God and set out in the Constitution of the United States. The Tea Party represents an extreme view. Who else represented extreme views? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Jesus Christ, Moses, a lot of people. So the Tea Party is not a group that everyone is going to agree with. Probably I don't agree with all of their views either. However, the Tea Party, if you look at what the Tea Party in their literature stands for, it matches up pretty well with what the Republican Party platform of 2012 says. So the Tea Party is a resource to be used.
Time's up. Time's up.
The time's been up for the past 5 minutes, but